So we feel that when we're here longer in this monastery, we have so much time. So it's not really so necessary, to just do practice, but after the morning chatting with this person or the chatting with that person, or there are new Westerners, let's have a, look what they need, huh? I mean, we don't have time. Even if we are young, of course the older we get, the less time we have. But we don't know when our clock runs out. And says the last tick, pop, gone we are. I mean, that can happen with 25, it can happen with 55, it can happen with 75. You don't know. Or do you know? If you know, then it's up to you. But if you don't know, just take the opportunity of this monastery to practice. I mean, when you go out, you can do all the things that you love. I mean, you came from the world, But it's getting boring, isn't it? After a week or after 2 weeks, it's getting boring, the practice. So one tries to find something else. And why do you think, it's not holding only for the lay people, it's just the same thing for the rest. Why do you think this monk is doing this, or this monk is building that, or building that, or building that, and from this, he's doing the next thing and so on? Because they're bored with practice. But that actually, translate, they have not even really gotten into practicing. Wonderful. Because once we get into practice, we are not interested in anything else than practice. Because that gives us already the happiness that we need. I mean, all the distraction, what do we get? From all the distraction in the world, that's why we came here. Because there are too many distractions. And now here there are too little distractions, so we need to find some new distractions. Isn't it? I mean, we come from one extreme to the other extreme. But this is not yet an extreme. I mean, if we go somewhere by ourselves, in a lonely place, where there is nothing there, where there is just forest or hills and so on, I mean, what are you going to do? Start a forest fire or what? Or build a new house? Or, I don't know. I mean, people all get crazy ideas. I mean, our only crazy idea should right now be, Buddha, nothing else. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we choose the path. I mean, we want to find the way out of dukkha. We don't want to find the way sneaking back into the world, do we? I mean, if you want, you feel free, you can go. Yeah? There are so many places, so many different places. There are beautiful, isolated islands, and so on in this world. I mean, if you think you can go there, just go there. Spend all the time on the beach, burning yourself up in the sun, if you can't bear the pain anymore, then jump in the water. When it's too cold, then get out of the water, and lay yourself in the sun to heat yourself up. And that's what we call the utmost pleasure, isn't it? One day at the beach. And that is with every kind of pleasure that we pursue in this world. We heat ourselves up, and then we find something to cool it off. And this we have to understand. But we cannot understand it if we don't let go of these external things. If we are constantly active in these external things, we will not know what kind of effect these have on us. I mean, that's why we're called recluse. We set ourselves apart from the worldly activity. And that can be absolutely fun. But we don't know it yet, because we have not overcome the hindrances. We have not overcome the basic. We have not really dived into the basic of practice. Once we dived into the basic of practice, there is no problem at all. All what we do is, walking Chongkram or sitting in Samadhi, and then walking Chongkram again and sitting in Samadhi. Maybe in the evening do some chant. That's fine. That's it. And we are completely satisfied. We can do that for a month, we can do that for a year, we can do that for 10 years. And we don't need anything of this. But of course, in the beginning, it's tough. It's a fight. You have to... they really have to take up a stance and start fighting. Fighting against the kilesas who tell us now it's enough, huh? Now I do want to do this, and even if it's just walking around the monastery. I want to know where I live, I want to know all the path, huh? And then the next day or the next week, we start trying, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And then we start getting active, forgetting all about our practice. I'm here 15 years in this monastery, and I still don't know all the corners. Only if I had to go to this person or that person, to this monk or that monk, I know the way there. But otherwise, some parts of the monastery I still don't know. I have no idea. Because I spent my first 5 years in just my little lawn. My little hut or whatever it is called. After meal, I went there, and the next morning I got out to Singapore and came back. I was looking for it. I was looking for a place where you can just do practice all day long. And there's a sort of satisfaction that comes with it. I know in the beginning the work seems so tough, the mind just don't want to stay on one point. Yes, I know it from my own experience, don't think, I don't know. I'm not a devata, fell from heaven. I'm just, born and raised just the same way as every one of you is. I went to school, I learned to walk, I learned to talk. Just the same way. I had relationships, so, there's nothing different. But all these things, I saw. All money, all power, all fame, all relationships don't bring this lasting satisfaction. The only thing that brings a lasting satisfaction is a practice. Is continuous practice. No matter, and then days pass by, years pass by and you don't even know. Sometimes I look at this monastery and think yesterday it just arrived. 15 years have passed by, without me even noticing. Of course, some things have changed, I realize that. You can judge for yourself if I look like an unhappy person. If I really look like an unhappy person or like a nerd, then, forget it, you get to another place where there's a monk, who shines, and listen to what he has to say. I'm just satisfied with practice. And last time I was out, just alone by myself. I didn't want to come back anymore. I mean, it's just, the freedom, not to have to interact with people, not to have to do anything at all. The freedom of, just looking, at the world inside. I mean, there's a whole world inside that we don't know. Because all what we can see, when we open our eyes and our ears, I mean, we hear the world outside. So we don't know the world inside. And we don't want to get there, or we don't want to make any kind of effort to get there. Or we give up very easily. Oh, now it's too difficult. Now it's too painful. Now it's too hot. Now it's too cold. Now it's too boring. I mean, I know it from all, I've gone through the same things, Don't even think, that I skipped the first part of practice. I mean, it was so tough, I don't even know how I made it, but I made it. Probably because of my will, maybe because of my determination, because I wanted to. I mean, if you put your mind at something, you can do it. There's no way that you can't do it. I mean, the only thing that limits you is your own doubt. And there's nothing else that limits you, I mean, all boundaries that you have, all the limits that you have, I mean, are your own thoughts. Go beyond the thoughts and there are no limits. I mean, if you want to achieve something, you can do it. Why shouldn't you? Just because other people tell you you can't do it? Or because you tell yourself, or you believe yourself you're stupid, or you're dumb, or you're whatever. I mean, you are the one who believes it. I don't believe it. I mean, if he can do it, I can do it.
And if he hasn't done it?
Huh?
Then if he hasn't done it? Yes.
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
No, if he hasn't done it, you have no thing to look at.
That's right. I mean, but I saw always people, who had something developed that I didn't. I mean, even if we go to university, we go out of a reason to university, we want to learn that. I mean, if he knows it, even in the beginning, just our parents are examples. They know how to live in this world, so we look up to them, don't we? And they earn money, so we look up to them. How do they do that? And we learn it on the way. And then we see other people, then we get into contact with other youth people, and they do this and they do that. And doesn't that inspire us to do the same thing sometimes? I mean, if you like it, we want to do the same thing. So we see somebody on a motorbike, so we want to make cross-land driving? Cross country? Whatever they call it, I don't know anymore. Oh, you see, huh?
Motocross in Somalia.
Yeah, motocross or something. Or you see some people skiing, I mean, you want to learn the same thing, don't you? I mean, that is inspiring, yeah. And at the time of the Lord Buddha, people, who were busy with their life, when they walked from A to B, they saw a monk sitting under a tree. And they thought, oh wow, I want that. So they went into the order. Some of them. So that looks nice, I have to work all my butt off, all day long. And he sits so peacefully under this tree. So that is an inspiration. Everything, everything that we see and we feel it's good can be an inspiration. But when it comes to religion or when it comes to Buddhism or Christianity, I mean, we look at the bad examples. We see this monk and that monk, he doesn't behave like that, and then we say, no, I don't want it. We don't look at the good examples. If the good examples exist, then we follow the good examples. We don't have to follow the bad examples. I know, of course, Christianity or even Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism have been in the newspapers for doing things that are not proper. Sexual misconduct or whatever it is called. Yes, they are. They find it in Thailand. Sometimes they drag them out under the temple, man and monk and woman, and they disrobe them immediately. Of course, it happens, because we are human beings. How can that not happen? We are not perfect. The moment we put on the robes, we are not perfect. We're just the same person, just with a different color of robe. Once we get ordained, we have to live up to that standard of getting perfect. But that is up to us. So if we see good examples, we follow good examples. But if our kilesas are too thick, then we get lazy. And go to another what where there are not so good examples. And then we lower our standard, from time to time and time. Until in the end we get caught. Human beings are human beings, and as long as we have kilesas, we have kilesas, and they fool us. And if you can't stand, the tough work in the beginning, and that is just focusing on one point. The easiest job in the whole world, but yet it is so difficult. We can't do it. We get bored, or we get angry, or we get disappointed, or we have doubt, or we have pain, or whatever. Or we are afraid. We don't realize that moment. We do not realize that moment, when that fear comes, or when that doubt comes, or when the boredom comes, that this is the way of the kilesa. That's nothing else than the work of avijja. So just sending, some mercenaries out, to disturb us a little bit. And yes, we will become disturbed. We say, yes, of course, yes, you're right, I shouldn't be on this place. Just like when soldiers or police comes up, we feel a little bit afraid, and then we move on. So avijja doesn't really have to, has a hard go at us. It has very easy go. It just, it just sends these things, and we are ready to stop. We are ready to give up. If you don't give up, you will see starting the kilesas getting at a fight. Then they have to get clever. Then they have to really to trick us. And in the beginning it is still easy. But the longer we do our practice, the more difficult it is for the kilesas to trick us. Because we know already their trick. Oh yeah, I know you. That's you've been there before. I don't fall for you anymore. And then they have to find something new. And sometimes they are out of the wits. And then we are the victor. Then we have the victory. But of course, that takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of effort. So if you want something, just go ahead and do it. Just don't say, no, there's no excuse, I can't do that. That is impossible. That is not. This is not a word in the practice. That's not a sentence that is allowed in practice. I can't do that. Or, the Thai say, I don't have vasana. I don't have enough merit. I mean, that is just out of the question. That is not, If you want to do it, you can do it. Every one of us who finds the way to this kind of monastery. I mean, of course, if people are out there, and just read a book about Buddhism, they might not be able to do it. But if they find an inspiration, if they find a monk, who teaches them, or other people who can teach them, then they have at least the merit, or the vasana to do it. Otherwise they wouldn't get it. I mean, it's impossible, look at the people. I mean, it's not our first life, and it's not the first time, we have been practicing. Many of us, have been practicing for life after life. So we just need to finish it up. But then we are fooled again, in our last life, we were recluse, and we stepped out of the world, and we said we don't want to have to do anything with this world anymore because it's boring, but that was the experience of our last life. So this life, everything is new, and we fooled again. I mean, they have one partnership or 10 partnerships, it's one and the same thing. A partnership is a partnership. A house is a house. It doesn't matter what kind of house. All what you need the house for is, to shelter yourself, to shelter the body. All what you need clothes for is to make the body warm. All what you need food for, it doesn't matter what kind of food, is to feed this body. But look at the diversities that we have. In houses, in clothes, in makeup, and so on, and so on. In food, just the diversity of food. And how does it come out once it touches the body? I mean, as a brown, stinking mess. Whatever kind of food we put in there, it comes out just in the same color. Is it? I mean, I haven't seen a different color. Sometimes it's a little bit light brown and sometimes it's dark brown. No matter what kind of colored food we put in. Isn't that interesting? I mean, haven't we reflected about that? I mean, whatever we put in. It's the same thing with the drinks. I mean, you drink Coke, and what comes out, it comes out yellow piss. We drink water, it's still yellow. And the sweet taste, of course, is removed. The nice taste of the food is removed. It has been we call it digested, And because we don't want to call it shit, we call it excrement. Because that is a foreign word to us. It's just like, everything that is not pleasant, in accordance with the body, we put off. We put somewhere else. We flushed out the toilet. Huh? So we can't see it. The sick people we put in hospitals, so we don't see them. Old people we put in old people's homes. We don't see them. Dead people, we bury under the earth, so we don't see them die. Huh? So all what is left in this world, are young people. Young till middle-aged people, they are healthy. Of course, how can we see, that just our, just this body, is full of, loathsome, full of sickness. We know it, we've passed sickness, and the moment we get a serious sickness, we think we die. Each one of us thinks, maybe I die from this. and then 5 days later you recover, and you don't even think about it. But you're so aggravated, when you become sick because you can't do anything anymore. Actually, what you could do is do the Buddha, and you would be happy. No matter what state the body is in, you would be happy. Because the mind is the thing or the chitta is the one thing, that is happy or that is not happy. If you put your car if your car breaks down, you put it in the garage, and then you wait until it comes back, and then you drive it again, And in the meanwhile, you do something else. You're not completely disappointed, or you don't think you've died because your car is in the garage, or your motorbike, or whatever. It's just like with the chitta and the body. The chitta is the driver. If the body goes away, if the body dies, then we find a new body. And then that body dies and we find a new body. And there's no end to it. When do you want to stop? Aren't you sick of this? And is that so much fun, Just think about your life. Is that so much fun? Getting old? Getting sick? Constantly heaving around 50 kilograms to 100 kilograms? Wherever you go, you heave that mass of flesh and bones? Is that fun? Does that sound like fun? We all dream, we go, from one place to the other. In our dreams we go. In order to see the truth, we have to stick to one point. We have to focus on this. It's just like when we read a textbook and we try to understand, we have to focus on the subject. Otherwise, we just don't understand it. And that is the same thing with meditation or contemplation. If we can't stay focused on the same subject, not switching the subject, the same subject, we will not understand it. So sometimes the subject is feeling. Sometimes the subject is pain. Sometimes the subject is fear. Sometimes the subject is greed or hate. Whatever subject we have to stay on that. And that, of course, is not pleasant. So we try to move away. When an unpleasant subject comes into our chitta, we try to go into daydream. What am I going to do tomorrow? So, and then we think, we evaded the unpleasant subject, but it comes back, and it comes back, and it comes back, until we deal with it. Once we deal with it in the proper way, it doesn't come back. But as long as we don't deal with it, it will come back. Just to show us, there is something that we have to work on. So learn to focus on one point. Learn to do the Buddha, or learn to do it, observing the breath at the tip of the nose. And the mind gets really concentrated. And once it gets concentrated, it gets happy, or contented, or just peaceful. It has to. Because there's nothing, it's just like a lake. When you look at our chitta, it's just like a lake. If there's wind, there will be always waves on the lake. It will always be disturbed water. But if you cut down the wind, the lake becomes completely calm. And then the interesting thing is, once the surface of the water becomes completely calm, we can see to the ground. We can see what is in the lake. But all the time, as long as the wind blows, As long as the wind of our emotion blows, or as long as the wind of our thoughts blow, of our memories blow, we can't see the ground of the lake. We can't see the bottom of the lake. Because all what we can see is the surface, the ripped up waves. That should be clear. So we have to calm that down. And how do we calm it down? We just concentrate on one point. We don't let the mind go out there or there. Think about this, think about the future, think about the past. No, we don't let it. Whenever, it sneaks out, we grab it by its tail and put it back to our point of reference. Our object. That's it. And no matter how often it does it, if it does it 5,000 times, within 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. Each time we grab it and put it back to the Buddha, or put it back to the tip of the nose. And if you do that persistently, the mind will not go away. The Lord Buddha said about the training of the mind, it is just like a wild animal. First of all, you have to catch the wild animal, and that is when we have sati. You catch the mind, going and being in this thought and that thought. Then you tie a rope around his neck, and put it to a pole. You tie it up very tightly, so they cannot escape. And that pole is the Buddha. Or is the tip of the nose. And, the moment that the animal knows it cannot escape anymore, it just put itself to sleep. It cannot run away. So over it goes, it's just natural. Isn't that wonderful? And all what we have to do is to, we don't even have to understand, all what we have to do, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. And that leads us to our Buddha-ness. That leads us to our citta. Anapanasati leads us to our citta just the same way. And once we find the citta, once we get to know the citta, we don't want to get out of it. Because we know it. It's just a hassle to get back into the world. It's so discomforting. It's so turbulent. And all the satisfaction is there within the citta. All the calmness, all the happiness, all the pity, or whatever. It's there. Even the metta is there, and compassion is there. It's all there in this one citta. It's not out there with this person or that person. Just the same as love, it's not out there in this person or that person. It arises within our own citta. Greed arises within our citta. Hate arises within our own citta. Nowhere else. It doesn't arise in the things. It doesn't arise in the persons. It arises in our citta. That's where it is. So we keep it at stake there. We keep it at bay there. And don't let it go out. And that is the first training. And no matter how difficult it is or how easy it is, we just do it. We just do it and we just do it. And don't let them get tired of it. We easily get tired. We easily get bored. We easily start to doubt. That's nothing for me. And that's why we give up. This doesn't lead to anything. Now, how do we know if we haven't done it? If somebody tells us this way leads to the golden city, if we go, we have to find the golden city. If we don't stray off the path. Well, after 50 kilometers, we might get tired. Say, oh, yeah, I see only sand. Maybe, sometimes we see some forest, sometimes we see some desert, If we would just continue, we would find it. Every one of us would find it. But we get so easily discouraged. Just think about it, the moment you get discouraged, you have to go back to your old ways. Is that what you want? You didn't come because you wanted to go back to your old ways. You came because you wanted to find some new ways. Oh, the Triletas are very tired. Just hearing this makes them tired. I mean, we came here now to find another perspective of life. So let's find it. Once we found it, then we can decide what is better. What kind of perspective is better. But first of all, we have to find it. And for this, we just have to do a little bit of work. So do the Buddha. Do investigation. Do contemplation. Contemplation of what goes out, goes into this body and what comes out. I mean, that's a healthy contemplation. Contemplate the sickness that you had in your life. Or contemplate, what is, death. I mean, what is it? Why we are so afraid of death? I mean, there are valued contemplations. I mean, we are not living here forever. That is for sure. But first of all, before even these contemplations, can take fruit, we should be able to concentrate. I mean, on the subject, if you contemplate about death for three thoughts and then switch, to life or to partnership, that this is not working. That's not a contemplation. I mean, we have to stay on death for quite a while. I mean, for at least 10 or 15 minutes until we see some results. So, if you cannot concentrate, then we have to learn that way. Ask yourself what you want to do with your life. I mean, that's what our parents told us when we were 14 or 15. What do you want to do? What do you want to learn? What do you want to study? What do you want to do then? Huh? And now we are gone beyond that, and then now I ask you again, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to bring into your next life? I mean, all the material things you certainly cannot. I mean, if you waste your time here, I mean, that is up to you. If you want to take something that you can take to the next life, or if you are sick of the repeating birth and death, I mean, then you decide not to be born again. But that, of course, is a very hard work. I mean, you have to be really determined. So it's sometimes in the course of our practice a really valid question: why did we come here in the first place? So that we don't give up. I mean, we came here to find something else, and if we haven't found it yet, then it's not time to go. It's not yet time to go. Once we found it, then it's fine. I mean, then we can go on the next step. So, I offer this for your reflection and your encouragement.